Please like and subscribe to really help support the channel. A simple click really goes a long way. What happens when a chemistry teacher decides to become a professional killer? And what if that teacher has to fight one of the most dangerous men on the planet for a shot at UFC gold? This isn't some Hollywood movie plot. This is the wild reality behind UFC Paris on September 6th, where Nassourdine Imavov and Caio Borralho will settle the score in what might be the most important middleweight fight of the year. Nassourdine Imavov's story reads like something out of a movie script. Born in the war-torn mountains of Dagestan, he moved to France as a 9-year-old kid who could barely speak the language. Fast forward to February 2025, and this same refugee just did the unthinkable. He absolutely destroyed Israel Adesanya in the second round, landing a devastating rear hook that sent the former champion crashing to the canvas. The MMA world is still trying to process what they witnessed. But here's where things get interesting and controversial. Imavov's rise to the #1 contender spot hasn't been without its share of drama. At UFC Paris, American fighter Brendan Allen made some explosive accusations against the French Commission, claiming they forced him and Renato Moicano to undergo additional testing after weigh-ins, while their French opponents faced no such requirements. Allen spent over 3 hours giving blood and urine samples, while Imavov was allegedly upstairs sleeping comfortably in the fighter hotel. If you've been following Imavov's recent fights, you've probably noticed a pattern that has fans raising eyebrows. Multiple fights ending with questionable referee interventions, all seemingly benefiting the French striker. The most talked about incident happened during his bout with Jared Cannonier in Louisville. Imavov rocked Cannonier badly in the 4th round and swarmed him with strikes. But when the referee stepped in to stop the fight, even the commentators seemed surprised by the timing. Many felt the stoppage was premature. Cannonier was hurt, but still defending himself actively. Yet another Imavov victory via controversial finish. Then there was his majority decision win over Roman Dolidze, where in the 4th round, Imavov connected with a kick to Dolidze's head while the Georgian had his hand on the ground. These incidents are starting to pile up, and fans are beginning to wonder if Imavov has some kind of invisible protection following him into these fights. It's not that Imavov isn't skilled. The guy is undeniably talented and has earned his spot through years of hard work. But when controversy seems to follow you into every big fight, people start asking questions. Is it just coincidence, or is there something more going on behind the scenes? Now let's talk about his opponent, because Caio Borralho's story is even more bizarre than Imavov's rise through controversy. Picture this: a soft-spoken chemistry teacher from Brazil who wore thick glasses and tutored students in math and chemistry decides one day to become a professional cage fighter. Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, that teacher is now 17-1 as a professional fighter and hasn't lost a single fight inside the UFC octagon. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. Borralho didn't try to hide his nerdy background. Instead, he embraced it and turned it into a movement. Along with his coach Pablo Sucupira, he founded a team called the Fighting Nerds, complete with signature taped-up glasses that they wear to and from every fight. What started as 2 guys painting walls and installing rings in a small gym in São Paulo has become one of the most talked-about teams in mixed martial arts. The Fighting Nerds aren't just a gimmick. They're legitimately taking over the UFC. Carlos Prates, Jean Silva, Mauricio Ruffi, and Bruna Brasil have combined for a ridiculous record, with most of their wins coming by knockout or submission. Borralho's transformation from academic to destroyer is the stuff of legend. This is a guy who was offered an internship at Brazilian brewery giant Ambev, a massive opportunity that most students would kill for. Instead, he turned it down and dropped out of university to pursue professional fighting. His grandfather was a math teacher, and Borralho started tutoring other students when he was just 15 years old. He had a bright future in academics laid out in front of him. But something about mixed martial arts called to him. Maybe it was watching too many Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, or maybe he just wanted to prove that intelligence could triumph over brute force. Whatever the reason, he made a decision that seemed insane to everyone around him. He was going to become a fighter. The early days weren't glamorous. Borralho and Sucupira literally built their gym from scratch, painting walls and installing equipment themselves. They refused to fabricate some fake street credibility or pretend to be something they weren't. They were nerds who loved to fight, and they weren't going to apologize for it. When they needed a name for their team, Fighting Nerds was chosen instantly. What makes their approach so effective is their analytical mindset. While other fighters rely purely on instinct and aggression, the Fighting Nerds treat every fight like a complex problem that needs to be solved. They study tape obsessively, break down opponent tendencies, and develop specific game plans for every situation. It's a data-driven approach to violence, and it's working better than anyone expected. The growth of MMA in France has been explosive, and Nassourdine Imavov sits at the center of that movement as the country's biggest MMA export. When Imavov walks into the Accor Arena on September 6th, he won't just be fighting Caio Borralho. He'll have 20,000 screaming French fans behind him, creating an atmosphere that could rattle even the most experienced fighters. Home advantage in MMA isn't just about crowd support. It's about familiarity with time zones, sleeping in your own bed, and having all the small comforts that can make the difference in a closely contested fight. For Borralho, fighting in enemy territory might actually be an advantage. The Fighting Nerds have always thrived as underdogs, and there's nothing they love more than proving doubters wrong. When you've spent your whole life being underestimated because you wear glasses and prefer books to brawls, walking into a hostile environment probably feels like just another day at the office. On paper, this fight represents everything that makes mixed martial arts beautiful. Two completely different approaches to violence meeting in the middle of an octagon. Imavov brings the explosive unpredictability of Dagestani combat sports mixed with French technical striking. He's proven he can end fights in spectacular fashion, as evidenced by his destruction of Israel Adesanya. When Imavov hurts opponents, he has this killer instinct that allows him to swarm and finish fights that other fighters might let slip away. Borralho, on the other hand, represents the evolution of the modern mixed martial artist. He's not going to overwhelm you with athletic gifts or knockout power, but he's going to systematically break you down like a complex equation. His approach is methodical, calculated, and devastatingly effective. He's undefeated in the UFC because he solves problems that other fighters can't even identify. The psychological aspect of this fight might be just as important as the physical skills. Imavov has been in big moments before and thrived under pressure, especially on home soil. He's used to being the hunter, the guy everyone is watching and expecting to deliver spectacular finishes. But now he's also dealing with controversy and questions about his rise that he's never had to face before. Borralho is comfortable being the outsider, the guy nobody expects to win. The Fighting Nerds have built their entire identity around being underestimated and then proving everyone wrong. He's fought his entire UFC career, knowing that fans and media don't fully believe in what he's doing. That chip on his shoulder has fueled every victory so far. This isn't just another middleweight bout, it's a crossroads fight that will determine the direction of an entire division. The winner walks away with a guaranteed title shot against whoever emerges victorious from the Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev championship bout. The loser, they fade back into the pack of contenders, probably needing 2 or 3 more victories to get back into title consideration. For Imavov, this fight represents validation. A victory would prove that his rise to the top wasn't built on controversy or home cooking, but on legitimate skills that translate anywhere in the world. It would also make him the undisputed #1 contender and set up what could be a massive title fight in France if the stars align correctly. For Borralho, this is about more than just personal achievement. It's about proving that intelligence and preparation can triumph over natural athletic gifts and hype. A victory would be the ultimate vindication for every kid who ever got picked on for wearing glasses or preferring books to sports. The Fighting Nerds movement would go from interesting curiosity to legitimate force in mixed martial arts.